Why don't we just go a little early? People get to see the behind the scenes stuff. And
You can. I'm just in
yeah,
here.
yeah, well, that's
All right, 30
okay.
seconds.
All right. Either shut that door or turn it down.
10 seconds. Counting it down from 5, stopping at 3. Live in 5, 4, 3.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Roku, YouTube, Facebook, Comcast Channel 190. I'm Vincent Squire. This is What You Gotta Say. And it's Black History Wednesday. And our co host today is Dr. Walter Milton Jr. And we're going to discuss the Black religious experience and how true is it? And what's going on with that Bible? And the real story behind the Black Bible, which is what they gave slaves. And we'll discuss that right after this short break.
Okay, we're on break.
All right.
You want to just do a minute?
Yes,
Okay.
or sooner.
Up to you.
Yeah, let's go sooner. I've only got them for half an hour, so let's take full advantage.
I have three quotes that I want to share, uh, Vince, if possible.
Okay. Okay, honey. Thank you. You can switch
You are
back.
welcome. All right, you ready to come? You ready to come down now?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to count you down from 5, stopping at 3. Live in 5, 4, 3.
Okay, welcome back, everybody seeing this out there. Now, Dr. Minton is going to be here for the next half an hour. So we're going to dive right into it. We're going to go without breaks. We're going to take some breaks, and there at the bottom of the screen, there's a phone number. Don't everybody call it once. Okay, so Dr. Milton, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing really well, Vince. Great to see you as always. Excited to be here.
Great. So last time we talked about you starting the book, Black History 365. So
Yeah,
Black History is every day.
absolutely. Every day. And Black History Month is just our anniversary. I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got three potential, or possibly now we should have like maybe five actual Black holidays. Let's see. We've got Martin Luther King. We've got Black History Month. We got Juneteenth. We got Barack Obama's birthday. We should be, getting celebrating, and pretty soon Judge Ketanji Jackson or Brown Jackson,
Oh, yeah. Well, we need to have a Douglas Day too, Frederick Douglass.
the great orator.
Absolutely.
Oh, he impressed me, providing he learned how to read by tricking white children into teaching him.
Exactly. One thing that's amazing, actually, I think that we need to have a holiday every day because every day is Black history.
Mm. So everybody start investing in some liquor stores. We're gonna make it. Okay. So let's dive into religion. Now, here is the in the 70s with the black nationalists and the Muslim expansion. They were saying, "Oh, you still believe in that white man's religion? Is the study of God, Yahweh, Yeshua, Abraham's, the God of Abraham, Moses, Jacob, is that a white man's religion? Because none of those people were born in England."
Absolutely not. I really believe that, religion is one of those things that can really hold us back from the truth. You have truth and then you have a religion. Not to say that components of religion is not lies, but I think that one of the things that we have to do, we have to really search for the truth like a hidden treasure. I really do. But I think we have an inexplicable tie to the Creator, to God, as Black people. I think that our history and our future is rooted into that of God. I really do. And I believe that we have to really allow that to be the compass as we navigate through these treacherous times and these days that we live in right now.
Well, let's see. Um, People of color, black, brown, indigenous, Northern Americans, have always seemed to have a strong level of spirituality, that belief and understanding of the higher power. The Native Americans called him the Great Spirit. Buddhism called him the I am or I'm all, or as they said, one of the wonderful things that I like about that religion is the tolerance, where they said the God in me respects the God in you. Yet we've always had a level of spirituality. So how the term that white man's Bible, where did that originate?
Well, I think that there were components that were infused in there, with the Sanhedrins and with various aspects of the New Testament, and a lot of things that have been misconstrued that was not the original intent. I remember reading some incredible books, one by a gentleman by the name of Moses Farah, and it's entitled "The Deceiving of the Black Race." And he really seeks to bring about a great deal of clarity, to this whole conversation. And then another book by Rudolph Windsor, "The Valley of the Dry Bones," and I could go on. I'm sorry, Vince. Go ahead.
No, well, but both of those authors make reference to what was called in the 1600s the slave Bible.
Yeah, because there were components to justify, there were scriptures that were infused in there to justify different aspects of slavery. But if we talk about, the intent, it was really dealing with, as you said, Yahweh and the children of Israel. For example, in the book of Amos, 3 2, where it says, you are all, out of all the family of the earth, you are all that I have known. Therefore, I will punish you for all of your iniquities. And I really think that, there was some responsibilities that we had because we had a direct relationship with God. And I think that some of the covenant issues that were really assigned and given to us, our ancestors had some challenges with those things, and prophecy and those things had to come to fruition. And I think that our people are intimately connected to those things.
Okay, let's look at the infinite connection of the man of color and the Bible. Jesus, man of color. Samson, man of color. Joseph, Mary, both of color.
Solomon.
Indigenous to Africa. Saul, Solomon, David. I mean, all of them
Yeah,
men of color.
we
Yet,
can go on. We can go
but,
on.
but here, wait a minute, Adam, because the Garden of Eden is in Africa.
Yep.
Okay, but how could that missed us? This African religion or study, or the God of the higher power, the God who delivered the children of Israel from bondage after 400 years of bondage. How could that miss us until we got to America?
Well, I really think that the Bible is written in 9 different styles of writing. The Bible is written in metaphors, similes, allegorically, poetically, futuristically, um, literally. It's written in so many different styles of writing. And if you don't have the tools to really study it, to really see what the true intent was, because a lot of people read the Bible as if it's a book or a novel, and it's not. It's very cryptic rather, which you have to really know where things are. For example, one of the metaphors that really get me that people literally thought about the tree in the garden. That don't eat the fruit of the tree. But what I believe, God is saying, please, don't eat from the tree in the midst of a garden of good and evil. Really taking on other doctrines, and I think that that's what happened to us. We took on a smattering of doctrines and religions, and those things that we were not supposed to touch. And we got involved in those things. And, God is a God that can't lie. And so I think,
Okay, so but here's another thing. Well, first, let's look at the King James version, and there was a different King James version. Okay, first and foremost, the European emergence of Christianity was one.
Mhm.
So here is Jesus Christ born in Bethlehem to a Jewish mother and father. Yet, in the King James version, they used to have a picture of this little skinny, frail, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy who was supposed to be a carpenter. I mean, carpenters were huge,
Right.
portly, stoutly, muscular people because they were carrying trees all day.
Yeah. Well, we have to deal with the lies. We know that there's a lot of lies, a lot of misconceptions, a lot of untruths. And like the word of God says, that they change the truth to a lie. And the incredible part of it all, that many people believe a lot of lies instead of the naked truth. And I
Okay.
believe that was part of the process as we had gone into, into slavery, that they really had to give us a narrative that was false, and they had to really beat it into us because they knew that we were giants, figuratively speaking.
Okay, so basically, the slave owners took on some of the same oppressive tactics that were happening in Europe, because during the Dark Ages they used the Bible to keep the common man humble and tell him that great is his reward in heaven. So they brought that same technique to the slaves. In fact, in the slave Bible, there are books missing. The book of Exodus,
Hmm.
it has nothing to do with God helping or freeing the children of Israel, because they didn't want the slaves to, start their own uprising and freeing them. And my great grandmother, as long as I known her, would never read the book of James ever again, because it says, slave, obey your master. They
Yeah.
used the Bible to keep the slaves oppressed.
Well, I think that if we, I don't know the exact year, but I think it's 16, 1614 or something, where those additions had been created and some of those things were injected into the Bible. And I believe that if you really study it, there are a plethora of evidence or information that's in the Bible that's directly connected, specifically 100% to us, no one else. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that I haven't seen a lot of churches address those things. And I think that, it's the spirit of inclusivity and those things. But some of those things, many of those things, are really specific to us, period. That's what I've always felt through intense study and looking at various doctrines. It's very, very, very specific. And one of the quotes that I really like is by James H. Cone, where he says that the black churches are very powerful forces in the African American community and always have been, because religion has been that one place where you have an imagination that no one can control. And so, as long as you know that you're a human being and nobody can take that away from you, then God is that reality in your life that enables you to know that. And then Frederick Douglass, he once said that I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave holding, women whipping, cradle plundering, partial, and hypocritical Christianity.
Baby stealing, slave raping, hypocrisy of the white slave owners.
Absolutely,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah,
And
yes.
so,
Look at one of my favorite lyrics in the Negro spiritual. This train don't carry no liars,
mhm,
because they looked at the hypocrisy of the slave owners, the masters,
right,
and how they would rape two or three women during the week, and yet come back and then go to church and be so holy.
right. or they would have a lynching before church, and
Hmm.
while those bodies are in the sweltering heat, kind of dangling from the tree, after the service, they would cut them down and burn them.
Yeah.
And there's some school of thought that even cannibalism happened in some cases. So it's very ugly, and I think it's one of those painful, a lot of stains that it's difficult for people to deal with the reality of truth.
So in the slave Bible, in omitting and manipulating, the white masters went from actual understanding or the applied theory of God and their Bible to just applied social faith or status. They're just basically saying to themselves, "Well, I'm a good dude." He brought that on himself by being a bad slave.
Well, it's there were three major tactics that were used against us. One was victimization, where you blame the victim. It's their fault. They're good. They're not good. Rather, they're bad. They're ugly. They're dirty, and that's
They
why.
had it coming.
Yeah, you had suffering. The
Hmm.
other one is genocide, just to wipe us out. And not only have we had a physical genocide, we have had a mental, intellectual genocide that has taken
Right.
place. And then
Right.
thirdly, the spirit of divide and conquer. And so when you have these three components and you force them upon a people, you have the exact results that we have today. But I think that we have the ability to overturn those things, because I think of all the people of the earth, there's no one that have exemplified perseverance generationally the way that we have. And I think in us, inculcated in us and injected in us is greatness. And I think that God dwells there. Like Psalms 82:6, it says that ye are God's children of the Most High God. I really believe that's who we are.
Okay. So manipulating the Bible and giving them a picture of Jesus, the great Savior and salvation, and the assimilation that him being a white man. So, everybody who is of power is of light skinned and blonde hair and blue eyes. Because the masters are white men and they're in power. God is in power and he made them in their image. Then what am I and where do I come from? Is that the psychological?
Well, it was a framework. It was a psychosis that was tricked, maneuvered, and beaten into us. And I think that every time you try to disrupt that narrative or that noble mission that they have put forth, you were either killed, you were either beaten, or you're either dismembered, or some type of physical and spiritual and intellectual
Or you
interruption.
were publicly raped?
Absolutely,
The,
absolutely.
the term breaking the buck for the young black men or the slaves when they started to get of age and started to actually, as they said, smell it. They would bend them over a tree and have some white guy sodomize him, and he had to go around with his pants sagging to show everybody that this buck was broken. That's why I don't understand why these boys go around with their pants sagging down. They don't know what that means.
Yeah, one of the things that I believe that I hold true to is understanding the book of Genesis, where it says that, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall serve to be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. But here's the kicker: and also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. And so I really believe that there is a steep spirit of desperation in the air right now, because I think that the time is up. Just as an example, that we're able to have these kind of conversations, it's an example that a shift in the universe is happening right before our eyes. And I think that truth always rises to the top. No matter how much you try to suppress it or keep it down. And I think that, I thank you for having the courage, the boldness, the propensity, and the skill to really bring these conversations to light. Because so many people are afraid to discuss this topic or these topics. And so I
Well,
just admire what you're doing.
well, my mother would confirm that yes, I am all kinds of stubborn.
Well, thanks, Mama.
So, by design, oppression of the black people was on all ends: physical, emotional, now spiritual oppression. You were created to be my slave. In fact, the book of Frederick Douglass, he talks about how he would listen to conversations of the good slave owners and the bad slave owners and the non-slave owners, and how they both the bad slave owner and the quote unquote good slave owner would tell the other white guy who wasn't a slave owner that it was his God-given right to own slaves. It was his way to glory in heaven to be a slave owner.
Yeah, I really think, some people say that this was prophecy, but I believe that if it was, some people had taken it way, way too far and out of bounds with it. And I really believe that, redemption is before us, right before our eyes. And, the old cliche, what goes up must come down, what goes around comes around. And I just don't think that you can have had those incredible, ugly, beastly acts and get away with it. I just
So,
don't.
so that's where the white guilt comes from, the great reckoning.
Well, I think it's a little deeper than that. I really do. Because if you look at the strength, the creativity, the beauty, the power that we have, if we just came together, I think that we can take the world over overnight. Like we rule the world for many years before this Myafa that we've gone into. I do. I believe, and I just think that the ingenuity is really starting to creep up in the spirit of who we are, and the enlightenment is like I said, upon us. And I
Mm.
really think that it's time. I really do, because there's no way that you can cast this level of injury that has been placed on us in different aspects of not only America, but the Caribbean islands and all over the world and get away with it. It just,
Let me quote Damon Wayans. What was that movie, The Great White Hope? Yeah, he said, "What? That's the biggest oxymoronic word I've ever heard. Black unity."
absolutely. Well, it just goes back. I think that once we know and find out who we are and whose we are, it automatically happens.
Okay, so how do we get past 400 years of oppressed thinking?
Well, number one, we have to apply this as they do in the field of medicine. We have to educe. We have to abstractulate everything that we have been taught. We have to deal with this really, really crazy thing called conditioning, and then we have to build everything up in that, because most of the mechanisms that are in place and designed right now is designed to keep us neutral at best, at best. And so we have to have a new form of information. We have to have a new process of
Your
critical
mic's
thinking.
cutting in and out, doctor.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so we have to put forth this new reckoning of who we are by throwing all the other stuff that we've learned. We have to unlearn it and then learn again.
Okay, so
Some
let's
of us,
look
and then some of us, I got to say this to you, will not make it. Will
at
just not make
as Dr. King said,
it.
I may not get there when you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay. Let's look at conditioning and our understanding of conditioning. My daughter, my first child, Anya, when she was 3, the circus came to town, and of course I got backstage passes because I'm arrogant and entitled. So so we went back where they had the lions and the elephants, and she loves elephants.
Hmm.
So She had, got on and got a ride. And then I looked at this huge elephant that they had, the star. I think they called them Gigantor or something like that. Some huge, extravagant name that they gave this elephant. Well,
Right.
they had him with a 1 inch rope around his foot.
Mm.
And they had him, he never moved from the distance of that rope.
Right. Right.
So I asked this trainer, how did he train such a huge, powerful beast not to break that rope?
Hmm.
He said conditioning. He said we got him. He was a baby. His mother had been killed, and he would always try to run away. So we tied a chain around his leg. So as much as he tried, this big 5 inch chain, he couldn't pull it away. And he just got so conditioned to they didn't even need a chain. All he had to have was a little rope around his leg.
Wow. Wow.
And so is that how people of color have been conditioned to be so, what's the word I'm looking for? Subservient? So
Yeah. I think conditioning has not only been physical, like what the elephant experienced, but it has been emotional. It has been psychological. And I really believe that even with that said, every aspect of the conditioning, we have to have mechanisms in place to identify them and then solutions to go after them. And
well,
I'm sorry.
we've been conditioned so much that we don't need the physical chains around our feet or the knee on our neck. We've got our own people who will hold us down.
Yeah, we do. But like I said, some of us are not going to make it. And I think that, we have to just kind of leave some of us by the wayside. I hate to put it like that. Uh,
Well, as my dad said, leave it right where they are.
because there's a growing population of us who are not afraid anymore, and we're willing to stand up. And I think that there is a spirit of unity that's sweeping us. Now, it may not be all of us, and it may not be as episodic as we may think it is, but I think in the query, it's starting to happen. I
It's
had
more
no
of us.
idea that
More.
you existed in this world here.
Mhm.
Look how our spirits have met each other.
So
Uh,
there. So the more that we wake up, the more that we become the collective.
I think so, absolutely. And then I believe that there's more good people on earth than bad people. And once we come together, I believe that we are the only people on earth that has the ability and the skill to bring everybody together. But it won't happen until we come together because I believe that we were chosen for that right.
So there, we're no longer afraid of the powers that be, of the large robber barons, of generational wealth that's looking to crush our desires and dreams for equality. We are no longer afraid of the police officer who has a gun and a badge on his knee, ready to be pressed upon our necks. We're no longer afraid of them threatening us to evict us, take our houses, lose our jobs, and even harm our children.
Well, there's some of us that are not afraid anymore. And
Mm.
every day there's a large contingent that's growing. But what happens is that all we can see is a continuation of that fear. But in the real world, we're growing because if you look at us as a nation from an economic standpoint, collectively, if we were able to pull our resources together, we would be the 10th, 11th richest nation in the world.
Mm.
And I really believe that we have to change this. Once we change this, everything else happens around us. And the time, I believe, has run out. But I do think that there's going to be more desperate things like chasing our brothers down in the street and shooting them in the back of their head. You're going to see the desperation because the fear of the changing of the guard is upon us right now.
So they're pushing back.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, all right. So let me see if I got this right. The time is actually here. The reckoning is taking place. Yet those who are in power want to stay in power. So they're going to push back. But we need to keep our foot on the throttle and
Absolutely.
stop letting our foot off the gas because
Absolutely.
we keep running into these incidents and we keep letting our foot off the gas.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Nothing.
And yeah, and we one thing that I found is that I have a better experience when I deal with like-minded people.
Hmm.
When I
True.
have people that are not deal with people that are not like-minded, you have a lot of conflict. You don't have the traction that you need. So we have to leave all of that alone.
Well,
And
Dr. Negative people really suck.
yeah, and it really goes beyond that. I mean, I'm talking about like-minded people. And you know
Hmm.
what I mean? We have to
Yeah.
differentiate Uncle Toms and Sambos. I hate to say that, because many of us have believed that Uncle Tom was a bad guy, but
No, he
Uncle
was the
Tom
hero.
was a great guy. It was
Yeah.
Sambo. And we have to really identify who and what they are and what they stand for. And we have to either go around them, go over them, or what have you. But
Mm.
we got to get the collective together.
Okay, so the collective means that we need to collectively.
Hey,
Um,
we've been tricked that we're the minority. If you did your analysis, there's more people uh,
of
of,
color
of color on this earth than
globally,
anybody.
right?
So if there was some synergy and a strong development to close those gaps, I think that we can make this world a better place for all people. I really
Okay,
do. But it starts with us. I mean, we are the movers. We're the descendants of the movers and shakers of the universe. That's the
okay,
power that we have.
okay. I know you got to go. So really quick, the
I'm
black.
excited, man. I'm just going to be late today. What the heck? Come on.
Okay, all right. So the the black religion of what was preached was assimilation at one point.
Well, that leads into another discussion. And I hope that, and I do have to go, but I hope that you can bring this up in a future show, like next week. If we can
Okay.
talk about if integration was good for us versus segregation,
Well,
because there's a school of thought that says that it was our death ticket. It was that we had the ability to work, to do commerce, to do trade, to do business. Crime was much lower in our communities, and all we had to do was fight through that. But there was a plot in place that was working behind the scenes to prevent that from happening and to get us to go after this spirit of integration. And so
mhm.
I would
Well,
love to flesh that out. I really would.
my grandfather was Jamaican. He said the only thing that integration did was show white people how mediocre they were.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But, okay, so in terms of religion, now that we are 2022 and we have more African Americans getting their doctorates in theology, which is what I'm
Mhm.
working on.
Mhm.
We have more prominent preachers who are more learned and studied to show themselves approved. We have more parishioners who not only read the Bible because it's there on Sunday, but Monday through Saturday as well, who know the Bible and the verses and its text. We have a group of people who are more interested in the homiletics of the actual text than how romantic and poetic it sounds. So with that in mind, I mean, are we now, is that where this awakening is coming from, or are people just right now sick and tired of being sick and tired?
I think that people are tired of being sick and tired, but I do believe that people are willing to be more strategic in our approaches because we have to really move beyond things like religion and we have to move to truth. And sometimes religion is not aligned with truth. Truth.
Whoa, 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 doctor. Before
Mhm.
they start calling, you want to give a little detail on that one?
Well, I think if you look at it historically, I mean, inculcated in, different aspects of Christianity, slaves obey their master. I mean, come on. I mean, we have so many examples of that. And I don't think that the way in which we're giving biblical information is accurate. I really don't. I mean, I think
Mhm.
that there's things that we've been conditioned to gloss over, to not pay attention to, not to go deeper on. And we're reading it literally, and it's not designed. It wasn't designed and meant literally. And I really think that we have to have some intellectual astuteness that we have to put forth to get to truth.
Okay. Give me an example of what we gloss over.
Well, what I just read today, I mean, it's
Slave
right
obey
there.
your master?
Yeah. Well, no, no. When I talked about um, how uh, Abraham's seed was sojourned in a strange land that's 400 years, that for 400 years,
Right.
and how the nation who enslaved them and all of those things, how they would be judged one day and they would be dealt with. We don't pay attention to that. Like, for example, in different aspects of
Oh, because
Exodus.
we only think that it was just for Israel's children or
Well,
Abraham's children?
who says that we're not Israel children?
Mm,
Who taught us that? You see what I'm
mm.
saying? I
Oh,
mean,
that white guy?
yeah, for
Yeah.
example, I mean, the way that they depicted Jesus Christ. I mean, come on. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no way physically that he could have looked that way. And
Yeah.
what was his real name? Because the letter J has only been in existence for almost for over 400 years.
40 years, yeah.
So, I mean, it's those things that we just gloss over, we don't pay attention to, and we don't pull back and unpack the lies.
Wait a minute, doctor. If J has only been in existence for 400 years, how do those people call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses?
Think about it. Like I said, we have to peel back
Oh, don't
the
don't
lie.
start calling. Okay, no. Go ahead. So
Yeah.
so okay. So the Matrix. Do you want the blue pill or the red pill? Is that what you're saying we're
Absolutely.
dealing with?
Yeah. And we just have to really be willing to unpack these lies. We
Oh,
really have to. And it's going to be very punishing to us because we've been taught things so long. I mean, just think about it. We were told not to eat certain foods because it will kill you. But what we've been taught, well, just pray over it. No, the book of Leviticus said, don't eat it. It will kill you.
hmm.
And so we have this
But
almost like spooky kind of
really, well,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you like my grandmother said. You gonna have to pull bacon from my cold dead hand, okay?
Well, I hear you, but diabetes is lighting our community up. And one of the major correlations to that is pork meat. And I really believe that we have to really look at the foods that we eat, look at the chemicals. And my grandmother, she lived to be 107 years old, and she never ate anything that had an ingredient.
Mm,
Never.
wow, how
My
about that?
father, he would have still been alive, but he smoked cigars. He was 6'2", 187 pounds, 2%, 2.5% body fat. Ate 1 meal a
Wow.
day, and he ate from the earth. And I just think that there's a direct correlation, even behaviorally, what we eat. But everything is right there. But we're not taught that. We're not
Hmm.
taught. We're taught that those things are done away with, that we're under grace.
Okay,
And,
well,
and that's the truth. Is God a liar? You see,
oh, well
because God is a God that can't lie.
then let us point to the book of Acts where he says, "Arise, Peter, slay and eat. Never again call what I created unclean."
Think about that. Where did that come from? That's a direct contradiction to the Old Testament. And
Well,
it was those kinds of things that distracted us and got us in the situation that we're in.
well, well, I think it's a direct contradiction to the Old Testament was because of the actual point of Exodus when those slaves were released, or they were eating everything.
Well,
spoiled, cured, fresh cured, whatever the case may be. So they had to have straight guidelines of what they can actually eat while spending 40 years in the desert.
yeah.
Okay, so
Well, I just think that,
now we've gotten better chefs. I
yeah,
mean,
but I just think that all of that is connected to our poor health and
it is. I agree.
behavior and some of the challenges that we really have. I think that there's some good things that can come out of this, and I think that if we can really go back to acknowledging, the laws and statutes and the commandments that were once given to us, I think that they were designed for us to have a great life. And
Okay, okay. In terms of the commandments and the statutes and the laws, I mean, there was the Abrahamic covenant, which handled one dispensation, but now the covenant under Christ, the Lord and Savior. Doesn't that, or according to the religious scholars, doesn't that supersede all of the rest?
no, to me, it doesn't. And because really, if you look at,
I got an Old Testament teacher, professor. I
oh
want you
yeah,
to meet. Okay,
I love to, because Christ never said that the law is done away with.
no,
He
he
just
said,
said that he came to fulfill it and serve as an example for all of us to be able to fulfill it. And I think that we all are sons and daughters of the Most High God. And I just think that, he was a brother. And I believe that he really exemplified what we all should strive to exemplify. I really
mm-hmm.
do. And he was really fighting for the liberation of our people at that time. Because you remember the story in the book of Matthew when, at the well, and the woman who was not Judah or Israelite, he said that I've come to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And I think that we have been that lost sheep for many years. I really do.
Well, she actually, her quote was, "Abraham has fathered many nations,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
including that of hers." Because and then it was more like you didn't know each other by color, but you knew each other by their attire. Because I
Well,
mean,
I
in that
have to go
location,
back.
a lot of people were of color.
Yeah, but I would definitely have to go back and really study that because I'm really not, I'm not
Oh
at the
no,
height.
oh no, that's always been one of my favorites
Yeah.
in terms of understanding the Bible. But let's go. Let's look at now. The time is right. So you're saying all the planets are lined up for. I mean, there have been people like Hoover who has been searching for the one who will lead the people of color in the revolution. But I think it seems to be more for us of an evolution than a revolution. I mean, we've got revolutionary moments, the George Floyd,
Yeah.
uh, the Trayvon Martin,
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
We've had some revolutions like the
Yeah.
Civil Rights March and stuff like that, but none of them has really, moved the needle that much as it has scared white America into pushback.
Yeah. But I really think a little deeper, like we say, we don't need a gun for this. All we need is moral and righteous behavior. And I really believe that that has to be the foundation, and it will serve as a concrete and the cement that would allow that to happen. And I think that a lot of people across this world is waiting. They are waiting for us to awaken and get back to our rightful place. Like I said on your last show, that poverty is a learned behavior for us. We didn't come from that. We came from greatness. We came from kingship and queenship. We came from empires that were strong and that were rich. And I think that things like slavery was a major interruption of those things. But I really believe that we're going to get back into that place because that's all we really know inherently. We really do. And it's in our DNA. And I think that that's why there were so many efforts to really cut us off from being a nation. There were
Right.
so many efforts, like in the book of Psalms 83, 1 through 5, that says, let's come and make a great tumult, confusion, lies, trickery, a deceit, all of those things to really cut Israel off from being a nation so that they will no more be in remembrance. And I really think that that's who we are. But I do think that there's a spirit of truth that's reminding us that we were a nation and that we have a direct connection, divine connection to God. And I think that we have to live in that truth. We have to wake up every day in that truth, and we have to exemplify that truth in all that we do.
Mm. And part of the truth is that you do not serve a God of oppression.
Absolutely.
That would make one man over you, especially when the man is filled with injustices.
And not only that, I don't even know if I should say this on that show on your show, man.
Well,
But
we
when I was
believe
growing up, it would take 10 of them to fight one brother. Seriously.
yeah.
Seriously. And I really think that they had to do all of the things that were done because we're giants. And I'm not talking only physically, but I'm talking about in every aspect of our existence. And so, what do you have to do? You have to shut the giant up. You have to kill the lion. You have to, you know, the conditioning with the elephant with the lion. That's us. And I just think that some lions have broke out of the cages and they're running wild now. And so they're going to come together and they're going to take their rightful place because it's not for everybody.
Okay.
and,
Great.
and and I think that you're a lion, I'm a lion, and we have so many lions and lionesses out there. And let's come together and make this a much better world for everybody.
All right. Well, Dr. Milton, thank you for starting the Leo party.
All right. That's right. That's right.
And we're going to take a break. I know you gave us some extra time that you had not planned, and I very much appreciate it. So
Yeah.
next week we're going to talk about, you said the assimilation
Yeah,
of
I think we should get into that some of that. And I like your flow. You know, you're not afraid to go back, forth, and touch those relevant topics that are impacting and impeding upon our people of this day. And I do want to talk about this incredible book, BH 365, an inclusive Black History 365, an inclusive account of American history. It is powerful.
my autograph copy, please. I mean,
Absolutely. Well, all I need is that address.
okay. I'll
Okay.
definitely do that. And next time when we talk about religion, I want to touch on one of my favorite in terms of religious leaders, Richard Allen,
AME.
AME.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but when I was in Rochester, New York, I attended the same church that Frederick Douglass attended.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a great experience. I had an incredible pastor, Earl Hunt, actually was a bishop,
Bishop
but
Hunt.
great guy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice church too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yes, yes. So yes. So, doctor, we got to take a break because we haven't, and people are
Yeah,
going to be screaming. And tell people where they can get the book. Oh, by the
absolutely.
way, it's streaming. See it, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
There we
And
go.
and when you get the book, please indicate what you got to say on there, so that we can give this great show credit. Okay. I want to say I appreciate everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. God bless you.
Dr. Walter Milton Jr., author of Black History 365. Get the book, everybody, and be sure to see him next Wednesday on this
Yes.
show. God
Great.
bless you,
Take
doctor.
care. And co-author, Joel Freeman is a co-author as well.
Oh yeah, Joel.
Okay. Okay. Take care. Have a good
Take
one.
bye
God
bye.
bless. Okay.
And that was Dr. Walter Milton. And I'm going to take a much deserved break. I'm Vincent Squire, and this is What You Gotta Say. See you in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Hey, okay, we're out.
All right. Oh, phew. Okay, so I
We're
got
still
10 minutes.
live for Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, Facebook, YouTube. How'd you like that guy? Yeah, y'all should actually get the book. You're going to really, really love it. All right. So we got the commercial going for people in Comcast. People in Comcast, you really missed the show. So this means that when we start cracking those jokes in between commercials, people on Facebook and YouTube will see it.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I better keep my jokes clean before my pastor pull me in his office Sunday. Chaz, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Hanging in there. Hanging in there. A little under the weather today, but not too bad.
A little under the weather. What's going on?
Whenever the weather changes, man, gives me headaches. Always jacks me up. It's 60 today. It was 30 yesterday. It kills me.
Oh yeah.
All
Well,
right.
my co-host got a big soup bone, so he went to sleep.
Good. 1 minute warning.
Excellent. Okay, now it's time for me to get into my radio voice. I can't believe it. Four microphones and not one of them are working.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how
Mm,
we'll have to get you set up with whatever one you're using a lot, and we'll have to just stick with that. Looks like the
yeah.
Comcast feed, everything's good now, so everything's running pretty smoothly. We're just still ironing out a couple kinks, but it's looking good.
People in Comcast are probably freaking out. Oh my God!
All right, 30 seconds.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll come back to just you. You want to just do your sign off?
Yes.
Okay. All right, 10 seconds. All right, going to count you down from 5, stopping at 3. Live in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back, everybody on Comcast. Well, people during the break who watch the show on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, and what's that other one we're on? Oh, yeah, Instagram. Hope you really enjoyed it. Dr. Milton said one thing that was really important, and it's all about the truth. And I believe that they did alter the Bible and omit certain things, but that was by design. The Corporation of White Supremacy has been doing this for a little over 400 years now to keep people of color oppressed so that those who are in power get to remain in power and their families. But just because they do those things to oppress you does not mean that you have to succumb to the oppression. We are blessed with so much level of strength, creativity, intelligence, the ability to think outside of the box, to move fluently and effortlessly. Let's look at the impact of blacks in our society. Laws have been changed. Sports have been redefined because of a black man. We have redefined what white America looks at in terms of a tennis champion and a boxing legend. One man stood upon the powers that be and said that I am the greatest, yet I will not go in and fight a man who has never called me an N word. One man has changed the course of basketball and made it into the legendary sport that it is today. One man has stood up to the oppression and said that I have a dream, and yet the dream we're starting to live. One man had decided to stand up against the Romans and say that I am, and he was. If we all, as Dr. Milton said, stand together, there's nothing that we cannot accomplish. And no, for those of you who are watching, I'm not saying that it's time for black people to rise up and fight the power. But what I am saying is that it's time for black people to stand for a better day. Take a stand against injustice. Don't let them talk to you about being a good Christian and not fighting injustice, because that's what God has done. He came to the side of those who were oppressed and aided them to victory. Don't let them tell you that your religion should make you, subservient, or you're not being humble enough in the sight of God by letting somebody victimize you. No, take a stand. Stand for righteousness. Stand for the example that you set for your children. Stand for the standard of living that you want your children to have. Stand because it's what your parents did and their parents did to give you the right to be where you are right now. Stand for better education. Stand for better living conditions. Stand for fair and equity marketing in terms of the housing. Stand for equal and just pay. It doesn't take much. One of my favorite writers said, when history looks at you, you don't have to be a huge and powerful man. You don't have to be a strong man. You don't have to be the wisest man. You don't have to be the most eloquently speaking man. But what you do have to be is a man. I'm Vincent Squire. Stay with us tomorrow where we'll discuss these social injustices with a few attorneys and somebody on the Justice Reformative Project. So, if God's will, I'll be with you tomorrow to discuss the exciting points in our life. God bless everyone. Peace.
Okay, we're out.
Yay!
Okay, perfect. Good show. Did you want to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube and all that?
Hey, everybody, Facebook, YouTube, all my friends. Iris, thanks for signing up. Everybody on Bolton Street, 25th and Jefferson, love you all. All of my friends, all my family, everyone. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please keep your comments going. Love you.